Why do I love Pikachu so much?
Is it because he's cute?
No.
Is it because you both have electric powers?
Kind of, but there's a better reason.
Okay, what is it?
Well, he's my new main in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, but that shouldn't be the main reason. The main reason is, I love how he's portrayed in the Pokemon anime. And that's what we're here to examine today, is Pikachu's personality in the Pokemon anime.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was.
Oh man, brings back memories. I love the Pokemon anime. How many of you were lucky enough to get this VHS tape in the mail when you were a kid? I don't even remember how I got this VHS tape when I was a kid, but my mom gave it to me and was like, hey, watch this, we got it in the mail. Yes! Complete with the exclusive appearance of Ash's Aunt Hillary. Apparently you had to have a subscription to Nintendo Power, but I don't remember ever signing up for that. Anyways, let's talk about Pikachu. Pikachu is probably the first Pokemon everyone lays their eyes on, because he's the mascot. Derp. You know, I'm gonna go with a weird approach here. I'm gonna start with the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon special episode as the first episode to look at, just to get it out of the way. I know you're probably wanting me to go look at the first episode, that'd be the most logical thing to do, but we're gonna start with the only episode I can think of where Pikachu actually has a voice. And I figured that this might be an episode people might think about and be like, hey, Pikachu actually had a voice in this episode. I wonder if this can give us clues on his personality. It kinda does. This was a special episode made to promote the spin-off game Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Basically, a kid gets turned into a Pokemon and gets to go on an adventure with a Pokemon rescue team to figure out what happened to Pichu's older brother Pikachu. Pichu is the most annoying character in this episode. His personality is basically that of a helpless coward.
That's right. I'd forgotten, Snubbull. They won't be back for some time.
They won't? But what's gonna happen to Big Brother Pikachu?
He helps move the plot along, but I wish his voice wasn't so annoying. If his voice was less whiny, then I wouldn't mind the plot feeling so typical and Pichu being portrayed as your average cowardly little brother character. Pikachu, on the other hand, I wish had more screen time because his voice is really good. He's portrayed as a kind and more competent older brother who is just trying to look out for Pichu.
Sorry, Pichu. I never meant for you to get in the middle of this.
It's okay, Big Brother. I love you. And guess who's coming to save us? A rescue team.
A rescue team?
At least they were trying to have a nice brotherly bonding moment here. Last thing to note is when Pikachu gives Squirtle an item called a Quick Seed. This item helps Squirtle and the team defeat the troublemaking Skarmory. This shows that Pikachu can be clever and resourceful at times. This episode doesn't show much of Pikachu's personality though, mostly because he's not the main character and doesn't have that much dialogue. All I can get from this is that he is brave and clever, but apparently lets his recklessness get the better of him considering he got captured. So as I said before, even though Pikachu actually has a voice here, it doesn't really help us understand what goes on inside his head very well. This is why I decided to get this episode out of the way first. So let's actually look at the first episode. It is here that Ash has his first encounter with Pikachu. Because Ash was late to Professor Oak's trainer ceremony, he doesn't get to have any of the regular starter Pokemon that one would normally start out with. He instead gets a Pokemon that Professor Oak warns Ash is rather dangerous. Ash doesn't care, however, and proceeds to find out that Pikachu is not your typical Pokemon.
Pika.
It's also known as Electric Mouse. It's usually shy, but can sometimes have an electrifying personality.
I see what you mean.
While Pikachu is shown to be turned off at first by his new trainer, Ash, he reluctantly accompanies him on his journey. Although Ash isn't treating him the best, dragging him around with a rope like a disobedient pet, I don't think many caught on to why Ash is wearing rubber gloves and dragging Pikachu instead of just carrying him around. It's because Pikachu was using his Thunder Shock so much earlier that Professor Oak suggested that wearing rubber gloves would help Ash protect himself from his electricity. So right off the bat, Ash and Pikachu's relationship isn't going very well. Ash tries to be nice and takes off the rubber gloves and rope, but Pikachu doesn't care. So then Ash proceeds to try and just catch Pokemon on his own without Pikachu's help. Things get out of hand when Ash throws a rock at a Spearow. The Spearow gets very angry and attacks Ash and Pikachu. This Spearow attracts a whole flock of Spearow, and Ash and Pikachu try to run away. Some of the Spearow actually catch up to Pikachu and he gets injured. However, Ash breaks Pikachu free of the pecking Spearow, and the two are able to get away for a short while by diving into a nearby river. This is when we briefly meet Misty, but we can't get too acquainted with her yet since the Spearow are still in pursuit of our heroes. Ash decides to take Misty's bike without asking, a reckless action that Misty will always hold against him later in the series. Ash doesn't get too far with the bike though. He ends up falling off of it. Pikachu and Ash now have nowhere to run from the flock of Spearow. Ash decides Pikachu's safety is more important than his own. He asks Pikachu to go inside his Pokeball so he won't get hurt. Ash tells the Spearow about how he's going to become a Pokemon Master and to just try and come after him. The Spearow dive at him for a final blow. It is at this very moment that Pikachu decides to protect his trainer. He gets onto Ash's shoulder, jumps off, and creates a highly powerful electric blast. The two are now safe and can rest easy. A legendary bird Pokemon known as Ho-Oh flies over our heroes, sealing this moment as the time that Ash and Pikachu became true friends. Of course, in the next episode, Pikachu needs to be taken to a Pokemon Center to tend to his harsh wounds. Now, there's a video that was made by Frederator that tries to argue that Ash's Pikachu gets switched out for a new one when a bunch of other Pikachu pile up to attack Team Rocket. They are trying to use this theory to explain why Pikachu's feelings towards Ash change when compared to his behavior in the first episode.
It's bullcrap.
I don't personally agree with her, but...
Bullcrap.
Yes. Nothing against this Frederator theorist, but I do believe this theory holds no weight. She tries to argue that the light bulb strap could have gotten switched in the Pikachu pile. However, the pile only lasts for a few seconds, and the other Pikachu were clearly there to help revive Ash's Pikachu and get rid of Team Rocket. There's no way the light bulb strap could have been switched to a different Pikachu so quickly. This Frederator theorist is also clearly not understanding the meaning of what happened in the ending of episode 1. Ash performed a selfless act in front of Pikachu. Pikachu took note of this and decided to save Ash's life. Ash takes Pikachu to a Pokemon Center in the second episode, thereby saving his life. Thus, they are now bound to each other as friends, and Pikachu now respects Ash as his trainer.
Come on, that's not enough, Shock. Give him more proof. Give him more proof.
Okay, let's look at episode 14, where Pikachu fights Raichu. Pikachu isn't able to defeat Raichu at first, but he doesn't want to give up. Ash and his friends think that he might stand a chance if Pikachu evolves into a Raichu using the Thunderstone. However, Pikachu rejects the stone. Pikachu doesn't want to change who he is.
So tell us what Pikachu's saying. He's going to fight in the name of all Pikachu.
He wants to show that Pikachu as Pokemon are not weak and are just as competent in battle as Raichu can be. Pikachu is just as reckless and brave as he was in the first episode. It is the aftermath of the Spearow attack that made him loyal to Ash, gave him a more carefree attitude, and he became friendly and compassionate towards other Pokemon, especially Togepi, shown in Pikachu's vacation. Now then, what have we learned from all this that pertains to Pikachu's personality? Pikachu isn't the most clever of Pokemon, but he makes up for it with his courage and overall strength. He is quite kind-hearted towards other Pokemon and tries to befriend them if he can. In the special Pikachu's Vacation, even though the meaner Pokemon fight with Ash's Pokemon at first, Pikachu is able to forgive them and persuade them to help out with the urgent conflict involving Charizard. So in short, Pikachu is a good friend and a courageous fighter. Gee, sounds a lot like someone else I know. Oh, so that means that most Pokemon get their personality from their trainers. I mean, just look at Lieutenant Surge. He's an aggressive and ruthless trainer, and Raichu is just as much of a bully as he is. I'm saying most Pokemon get their personality from their trainers, because some have been known to act on their own, with the examples being Ash's Charizard, Meowth, and Misty's Psyduck. Of course, not all Pokemon have the same personality. It can vary depending on life experiences and other things pertaining to the type of Pokemon they are. For example, in Raichu's first appearance, he is very aggressive and ruthless. However, in other episodes, Raichu is portrayed differently. This is why the Pikachu in the Mystery Dungeon episode acts differently from Ash's Pikachu. Ash's Pikachu is the most consistent and notable portrayal of Pikachu himself. Alright, so before I wrap this up, some of you may recall an episode where Ash gets transformed into a Pikachu.
What? I'm a Pikachu? How does this...
I thought this was really cool. Imagine what they could do with this concept. Ash could learn what it's like to be a Pokemon, and find out how they learn attacks, and he gets transformed back at the beginning of the next episode. Come on! What the heck was the point of this? Was it just for fun? Just for the heck of it? Seriously, I don't get it! Why shove this potential idea under the rug? I understand that you have Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, but that just doesn't do this idea justice in my opinion. If we want to learn more about what it is like to be an actual Pokemon, it would make more sense to have someone who is very familiar with Pokemon, like Ash, to get turned into one. This way, he would be able to communicate with humans and Pokemon and have a very fascinating experience that he could tell researchers about. But no, this is the Pokemon anime, here to promote the games, not really here to tell an interesting story. I'm not saying that the Pokemon anime tells bad stories. I just praised it for having a great introduction to Ash and Pikachu's relationship. The Pokemon movies also tell really good stories as well. I thoroughly enjoyed Pokemon the first movie, Pokemon 2000, and Pokemon Spell of the Unknown. While the anime can get repetitive and it seems like Ash will never actually become a Pokemon master, it's obvious that the anime is mostly just a show that is meant for fun and helps fill in some gaps of info that the games don't really elaborate on. Yes, it is really annoying that the anime's plot barely ever goes anywhere and that the development of the characters and overall story is just not as good as it was back when it first started in the late 90s. But that would be for a whole other video. And I don't even know if I could tackle the anime itself because I haven't kept up with this show very well. To be honest, I'm only familiar with the first season, but I have heard people say that the show has recently gotten more interesting, so maybe they finally got some better writers on the show. Who knows? Post a comment and let me know about your experience with the Pokemon anime. I'd love to hear about it. It seems I might have some catching up to do. So they probably didn't go with the Ash being a Pikachu concept because of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and because Ash and Pikachu have basically the same personality. So there wouldn't be much point in having two Pikachus where one of them can talk and the other can't. However, if you truly would like to see the potential story that the writers are missing out on, just check out this fan comic by Coshi-Dragonite. I'll put a link for it in the description. It is a very well written comic, and I highly recommend it to any fan of the anime. And so that was my study on Pikachu's personality. I hope you all learned something from this and enjoyed my video. I'm Shock the Nikin.
And I'm Colby the Cat, clawing my way through your interwebs.
Next episode, witness my true power.
Like and subscribe.